Hey everybody, welcome to episode 12 of Cool Chords. Today we're going to be taking a look at an incredible song by Nick Drake entitled Parasite. Hope you enjoy. Alright, so before we get started, let's make sure that we have the tuning in order. So we start from the bottom string, we have C, G, C, F, C, and then E. Really interesting tuning. And if you prefer to do that with the fret matching, you can go like this. So you pretty much have to get the 6th string down to C, right? And then from there, play the 7th fret of that string, match the open 5th string to that, just like if you're doing drop D tuning. Alright, the next 2 strings are just regular 5th frets. Next one, you go, the 3rd string, you go back to 7. Okay, and then the last one, the 2nd string, you do the 4th fret. Alright, really unique tuning, and this was actually one of the Nick Drake songs that really stumped me for a while. I couldn't figure out what the tuning was, and luckily a good friend of mine, Ted Morcaldi, has studied a lot of the Nick Drake tunings, and he turned me on to this one. So shout out to Ted, I appreciate you turning me on to this, and yeah, let's get into the pattern now. Okay, so now that we have the tuning, the next thing we want to do is put a capo on the 4th fret. So our open strings should sound like this. And I'm going to start out with just the right hand pattern because it's a little bit more complicated than the fretting hand. And I'm not sure if Nick was doing this with 3 fingers or 4 fingers because, as most of you know, I'm sure, unfortunately, there's no footage of him playing live at all. So I'm doing it with 3 fingers, and I'm going to do the pattern fast at first so you can hear what it sounds like, and then I'll slow it down and explain what's going on. So if you look at the thumb is constantly going like this. Which is really cool because we're in 3/4 time, so it's actually 2 against 3 because it's going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Really cool. So when we add the other fingers, we start out with this. We start with our thumb on the 6th string, and then we're going to play our pointer finger on the 3rd string at the same time. Then our thumb goes to the 5th string, and then the middle finger goes to the 2nd string. So we have, and then finish it off with the thumb on the 6th string again. So that's our first measure. So it's 1, 2, and 3. Alright, so that's our first measure. Now the second measure is going to start with 3 fingers at the same time. It's the only part of this pattern that uses all 3 fingers. So you have the thumb on the 5th string, pointer finger on the 3rd string, and middle finger on the 1st string. So skipping over every other string. So we have now together with the first measure we have, and then we finish off with the thumb on the 6th string again, middle finger on the 2nd string, and thumb on the 5th string. So now we have, and that's the whole pattern. So I'm going to do that slow a handful of times if you want to practice along. And so I'll count to 3 and then we'll go into it. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now for the left hand, we're going to do a couple of different things. So if you listen to the song, there's not really like a set pattern that Nick is doing the entire time throughout the guitar part. He has a couple of different variations that he's doing. So sometimes he's just going like this. Other times he's doing hammer-ons. He's going like... So what I did was kind of a combination of the two, so you're getting a little bit of each pattern. So the first one, we're going to go like this. We're going to take our middle finger, and we're going to go on the 3rd string, and we're going to go to the 5th fret. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So we start with just the same pattern in our right hand, but now we're going to do that 5th fret. And that's the only fretted note that's pushed down, but it makes a huge difference. All right? Really cool sound. That's an E dominant 7 chord. So all of these different chords that we're playing, the note that's making these chords change is just this one fretted note on the 3rd string, right? He keeps going down a half step each time, and you get all these different tonalities from that, which is really cool. So then when we move down a fret to the 4th fret, it becomes an E6 chord. So we're going from E dominant to E6, and this is one where we're going to do a hammer on. So instead of just playing it, playing the fretted note right off the bat, you're going to go like this. So you play the open 6th string and the open 3rd string together and hammer on your middle finger to the 4th fret. And then the rest of the pattern is the same. So now going from the 1st chord to the 2nd chord, we have... Alright, and then same exact thing on the 3rd fret with the hammer on. And that's my favorite chord. That's the E augmented chord. Amazing dissonant sound, but it works so well in this progression. So now we have... Alright, and the last one goes down one more fret, and now it turns into just a regular E major chord, and we're going to start with the hammer on again. So this chord happens twice. The first pattern I'm just going to do straight. Now the next one has a little pull-off at the end. So the first half is going to be the same. Then right here where you normally play the 3 notes at the same time, you're still going to do that, but you're going to have your pointer finger press down on the 1st fret of the 1st string, and you're going to go like this and pull off to it. And then the rest of the pattern is the same. So that last one would be like this. All right, let me just repeat that a few times. And like I was saying, that pattern happens twice while every other chord happens once. So the first time you just do regular, and then, all right? So the entire progression. Alright, so a lot of cool things going on in this one. You have the 2/3 in the thumb, right? That polyrhythm. You have the chord progression where all you're doing is changing the one note, and it's giving you all these different tonalities that work well together. And that's a pattern that you see a lot in a lot of different rock songs. Like another example would be Dear Prudence by the Beatles. They do that. It's a little different because instead of starting on the flatted 7th, it starts up on the root. So Dear Prudence would be like... So slightly different because instead of starting on the dominant, we're starting on just a regular major chord, and then dominant 7, then the 6th chord, and then the augmented. So it ends on the augmented chord in Dear Prudence, but very similar progression, very distinct sound when you start using chords like this. But yeah, it's just an amazing progression, and hopefully that offered some insight into the tuning and the finger picking pattern if you have ever been confused about this song like I have. And that is about it. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something, and I appreciate you guys watching. I will see you at the next video.